Hello, data explorers. Have you ever wondered why analyzing massive data sets feels like searching for a needle in an infinite dark void? The truth is, modern computer algorithms get absolutely crushed by the sheer weight of high dimensional spaces, which are mostly empty noise. To solve this, what if we could lock our calculations inside a perfectly safe, smaller mini universe? Remember our previous exploration of vector spaces where we played in a giant open sandbox? So today we are going to fence off a special zone inside that very sandbox, creating a self-contained world called a subspace. But here's a teaser. What makes a fence secure enough that we can never accidentally escape its boundaries? Simply put, it requires mathematical rules that ensure any movement we make keeps us trapped inside. To build a valid subspace inside our larger vector space, we have to follow strict mathematical laws. Remember our sandbox? Think of a subspace as a mini universe where we can explore forever without ever stepping outside. To make this work, the subspace must be closed under the basic operations of vector addition and scalar multiplication. Specifically, if you take any two vectors in this space and add them, the result must lie inside. Likewise, if you scale any vector by any number, the resulting vector must also stay in the space. Yet, what happens if we violate just one of these simple rules for our mini-universe? The next step is to figure out how these rules manifest visually, so we can spot a fake subspace instantly. Let us test the first rule of our mini-universe, closure under addition. Our target is to prove that adding vectors on this flat plane cannot push us off it. To do this, we select two vectors, u and v, both resting flat on our glowing sheet. Now we add them together by placing them tip to tail. But notice how the combined vector stretches out, yet remains perfectly flat against the surface. If we were to scale these vectors to extreme sizes, would they still remain trapped on the plane? Because of this perfect alignment, the result never lifts off the sheet and the addition law holds. Now we must test the second rule, closure under scalar multiplication. Our goal is to see if stretching or shrinking a vector can force it off the plane. To do this, we take our vector v and multiply it by a scalar. As the scalar grows, the vector stretches outward along the plane. When we multiply by a negative number, it points in the opposite direction but still stays flat. However, there is a special scalar that holds a secret key to the entire concept of subspaces. It turns out that multiplying by 0 collapses our vector to a single critical point. Because we can scale any vector by any real number, we must be able to scale it by 0. When we multiply any vector by 0, it collapses into the 0 vector, which is the origin itself. So, this reveals a fundamental truth. Every valid subspace must contain the origin. Remember our sandbox analogy? The center of the sandbox is the anchor for all our movements. If a candidate space does not pass through this center, it is immediately disqualified. But what if we try to force a shifted plane to work anyway? The reason is that shifting the plane breaks the fundamental laws of vector addition. Many students fall into a classic trap. They assume any flat surface is a subspace. To see why this is wrong, let us look at this floating plane that does not pass through the origin. What happens if we try to scale a vector on this plane by 0? Remember our sandbox? This is like trying to build a fence that doesn't include the center anchor. It turns out the vector collapses to the origin, which lies completely off our floating plane. Yet what if we tried to add two vectors on this shifted plane instead of scaling them? Because of this shift, we have accidentally stepped outside our mini-universe, breaking the rules. Let us double-check our shifted plane by testing the addition rule. To do this, we place two vectors, a and b, on this elevated surface. When we add them tip to tail, the resulting vector points far above the plane. Remember, in a true subspace, you can never escape the boundary by adding elements. In contrast, the shift adds an offset that doubles when the vectors are combined, pushing us out. If a flat plane can fail so easily, does a simple straight line also have to follow these rules? Simply put, the shifted plane fails both core tests, proving it is not a subspace. Let us scale our thinking down to one dimension and compare two lines. On the left, we have a line passing directly through the origin, which is a perfectly valid subspace. In contrast, on the right, we have a parallel line shifted away from the origin. If we take a vector on the green line and scale or add it, we stay on the line. But if we do the same on the red line, we immediately land outside on empty space. What if you had to guess how many subspaces exist in a simple two-dimensional plane? Drop your guess in the comments. Curious what you would say. So, this visual contrast makes the absolute power of the origin rule completely undeniable. Every vector space has two extreme guaranteed subspaces known as the trivial subspaces. The absolute smallest is the zero subspace, containing nothing but the origin point itself. Because if you add 0 to 0, you get 0, and scaling 0 keeps it at 0. Remember our sandbox? The zero subspace is like a sandbox containing only the center peg. Yet on the other extreme, the absolute largest subspace is the entire original space itself. But are there interesting spaces that lie somewhere in between these two extremes? Simply put, these two extremes act as the natural boundaries of our subspace world. Now we can understand why subspaces are the secret weapon of modern machine learning. In AI, data often lives in a massive space with thousands of dimensions, which is incredibly expensive to compute. However, the actual meaningful patterns usually vary along only a few key dimensions. To exploit this, we project our data onto a lower dimensional subspace. So, by restricting our operations to this smaller space, we can perform dimensionality reduction, saving massive computing power. Yet, how do we mathematically construct these perfect lower dimensional spaces from raw data? Remember, finding the right subspace is like finding the flat ground in a wild, hilly terrain. How do we actually build a subspace from scratch? The answer lies in a concept called the span, which acts as our generator. To do this, we take a set of vectors and find every possible linear combination of them. Remember our sandbox? This is like using a rake to smooth out a flat path from our starting points. So by stretching, shrinking, and adding these vectors, they sweep out a perfectly flat, self-contained sheet. But what happens if our starting vectors are pointing in the exact same direction? Because of this mathematical guarantee, the span of any set of vectors forms a valid subspace. What happens when two different subspaces collide and overlap? To find out, we take two planes through the origin and find where they intersect. It turns out they meet along a straight line that passes directly through the origin. Remember, because both original planes contain the origin, their shared line must contain it too. So this reveals a beautiful law. The intersection of any two subspaces is always a subspace. Yet what if we tried to combine them using union instead of intersection? In contrast to intersection, combining them by union will fail almost immediately. Here's the terminal insight where everything we have learned finally connects. Whether we are looking at a single point, a line, or a massive plane, a subspace is a self-contained sanctuary. Remember our fence sandbox? Every operation of addition or scaling is just a movement inside that fence. So, by forcing our calculations to stay inside these boundaries, we can navigate infinite dimensions safely. Yet, how do we use these self-contained worlds to solve actual systems of linear equations? Simply put, we have unlocked the secret to simplifying complex spaces without losing any information. You now understand subspaces as completely self-contained mini-universes inside larger ones. You have the mental model to see that a subspace is a mathematically secure zone anchored at the origin. Remember, this capability allows you to simplify complex data and conquer high-dimensional noise. So, with these rules in hand, you are ready to tackle the geometry of matrices.